Hello again, everyone. Well, I'm just back from a couple of days in Devon. My daughter has bought a small 2-bedroomed flat in a dear little village on the edge of Dartmoor, and she, for a birthday treat for the two of us, slightly delayed, she booked us into this lovely hotel in the village so that we could go down and look at her new property. She's having it renovated to make into an Airbnb. So that's beside the point, really. But while I was away, I scheduled this video to be published about making this card, where I used a flat-backed die, its matching stamp, but I used it with an embossing folder. And some people had said to me, oh, I don't know if I've got any flat-backed dies. Can I use ordinary ones? Now, I did wonder whether you could kind of fill this in with maybe a piece of mylar, piece of card or something to do it, but there is a proviso doing that. And it took me back early days physics at grammar school, where if you have weight concentrated over a small area, the amount of pressure it exerts will be greater than if that weight was spread out over a larger area. And I always remember there was the examples of a stiletto heel, you know, where you see floors with stiletto heel marks where the floor's been dinted with the heel, whereas if the same person who was wearing those heels walked over that area in flat shoes, there would be no mark at all because the pressure was not concentrated. What I'm waffling on about to try and explain is that if you put one of these into an embossing folder like this area is going to receive a much greater pressure. So you may damage the inside of your embossing folder. You may squish it a little bit. So that is a warning. So I had a little thought and I thought, well, if you haven't got a flat-backed die, is there a way that we could use an open die like this to achieve a similar effect to that? And this is what I came up with. What I thought we could do would be, first of all, to take out this piece, just actually cut it out of the piece of card. So that's what I'm going to do first. So I'm going to cut this tree shape out of a piece of card. This, I'll move it in a little bit. This is the size of 1/4 of a sheet of A4. It's the sort of size I use for lots of my card bases. So I have actually now cut this die shape out. Okay. Let's pop that onto there. Now what I'm going to do with this is emboss the front. This is actually a piece of hammered card. I don't like it terribly much, but you know, it's going to be okay for these purposes. So which way round did I have that one? I had that one on the debossed side. So let me turn it the other way up. And I think that is the way that I had it. We'll see. I think it is. We'll have the debossed side. So take this out, put in my embossing plate, and we'll now emboss this. There we go. Okay. I've done it the different way now, haven't I? It doesn't matter. It's fine. Whichever way, you can use it whichever way you like. I thought I was doing it the other way, but I obviously wasn't. Right, now what we have to do is to stamp this with its matching stamp. And this one, we've got 2 stamps. We've got one that's a colour, you could use for a colour, and the other for a line drawing. So let's get them out. I'm going to use my stamp platform again. This is a very old set from Simon Says Stamp, I do believe. Okay, now what I want to do is to stamp onto here. So what I think I'm going to do, this is the one I cut earlier. I'm not going to mess about with that one. I'm going to put that in there. Let's just hold this down. Now I'm going to first of all arrange the plain stamp on here. I don't know if I've ever used this actually, and I don't know if there's a right way up or a wrong way up. Let's just see. Tell you what, let me take that out first, because if I do it without that, I can put it into the gap where this fits. Do you see what I mean? It's got a little well. So I'm going to try and arrange it in the centre of that little well. Okay, let's pick this up. Now we'll put this into there. And we'll try stamping it. Let's just try some Mowed lawn. I don't know if this has ever been used, these stamps actually. I've had them for years and years and years. Let's try that. Here we are. We'll do it again. There's a bit in the middle, not quite. Can you see? There's still ink there and it's not got there, so there might be a slight depression in the stamp. So we'll try again. I'll try and press more in the centre of the stamp. Ooh. Okay. Still a bit more. I'll keep going. I could add a little water, but I don't want to get it too wet, really. That'll do. That will do. Right, now I'm going to take this out again. Take this one off and put the lined one. Let's arrange the lined one into that space. So, let's get, here it is. Ooh. No, I don't think I've ever used these. Isn't it funny? You see them, fancy them, and then just, let's get it in that, is it in that space? I think it is. Pick up the stamp, put this back in, and now we'll ink this, and I think I'll use some Versafine for this one, so we get a nice black line. Okay, I'll do that one more time, I think. Pretty good alignment with the green though, isn't it? That's really good. Okay, right, take this out. I'll use some tweezers to just pick it out. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, let's just pop that on there for a minute so I don't lose that. The next thing I'm going to do is to go back to this, and what I think I'm going to do is I think I'll cut it down first. I can't cut it down with the die because I will flatten my embossing. So I'm going to use a trimmer, and I find these trimmers leave a nice, quite a nice edge compared to a guillotine. They do round it over a little bit. So let's just cut this off. There we go. So there's our fully embossed panel, and the next thing I'm going to do is to put some tape behind this space. Just this ordinary sticky tape. Just going to fill that in like this. Okay, now all we have to do is to pop this into the gap. And there we are. So it's a kind of way round. It's a way round this kind of effect, but without using a solid back die. I would be very wary of using you know, aperture dies like this, ones that, you know, have a hole in the middle, because of the pressure that is going to be on that surface area. If you filled in that middle section with 2 or 3 layers of if you cut some of these out and you put in about, I don't know, 2 or 3 of those, that might reduce the pressure a bit. But I would still be very wary, because the pressure on your embossing folder from this narrow bit could dent it a little bit, I feel. So do take care of that. So this was just a kind of an addendum to my last video, just saying, you know, in answer to some people's questions about could you use a surround die rather than a flat back die. So that's my kind of way around it. I don't think the effect is quite the same as this one, but it's a way around it. So just thought I would mention that. So do take care. Don't damage your stuff. I don't want to be blamed for, you know, embossing folders suffering under the throes of art. Okay, well, as ever, thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon.